Let me give an example of someone gets into, or a girl is raped, for instance. That's common around here. And all we normally hear, if you go to the police station, I've been there like several times. Even a woman, a lady officer can ask the person who has these issues, like, did you not enjoy it? Like, oh, they'll say, what happened, Joe? Were you not enjoying it when the thing was happening? That's a problem. That's the fact that we do not respect our social space. It's a challenge. The same thing with harassment. Someone is bullied. We don't talk about those things so much. You know, we had a buzz of, what's this guy's name? Sylvester. We had a lot of buzz about it, but there's been so much of it, so much of abuse. I went to the hostel. I basically had to fight my way out. If you are not strong or bold, you are not loud-mouthed, you will be oppressed. You know, so if you are the quiet one that just does your thing, then it's a problem, because our social space is shrinked. So shrinked in such a way that people don't know what to function anymore. It's either you have to be a Christian, by all means, or you have to be a Muslim. Even our traditionalists don't even have space anymore. And those who want to be free thinkers, they don't even have it anymore. For the purpose of clarity, I'm a Christian and my values are very strong. But that's not to say that other people can't live with us. We must begin to deal with our social spaces, because at the end of the day, we would also leave the very community that we are in to go into another community. What happens if our social space is not respected? We are meant to go through some very dogmatic things because we do not respect our social space. I'll quickly give this example before I run through some other things. I was walking on the road and this young lady had a very big bum bum. That's why I had to bring the plus size lady in. She was walking on her own with two other ladies, and there were guys behind, two young boys. They were all young people. Funny enough, they were young people, not adults now. Like when I mean adult, they were young adults, but not like very old people. And the young boys started saying, this girl's young, she's very big. Let me use their words. See as her bum big. If you just touch her now. You know, I was kind of confused. I, as a lady, I was so confused. So they quickly walked towards the lady. They didn't even pass after saying those things to themselves. They quickly walked towards the ladies and was like, your bum is so big, make way pick the rubber. As in, and they started to taunt her. So at the point I stood. I actually stood. I was like, should I go confront these young boys? They don't know what they are doing. And that's true. This thing is so common in our society. You have to see some ladies, if they go to market dressed somehow. Even ladies like us, say, why did she wear this thing now? Maybe because of what she wore. That's why they raped her. You know, we say these things so much that these things have become just part of us. So these are the things that we want to quickly address. I know that, okay, yes, there's a part of your hands are up, I can see it, I'll call you shortly. There are parts of, okay, dress responsibly, but then there are people who don't see these things. If you're in an environment where you grew up, where those things don't matter, naturally, it will go with you. It will become a part of you. You just wear what you want to wear. You just do what you want to do. Not because you really want to be immoral. As in, even the immorality is let me put it in quotes, because there's basically no definition for it. My immorality, what I think as immoral, may not what you think as immoral. So that's why we need to begin to respect and treat the social space as, try to expand our social space. That's the reason for this conversation. We need to respect our social space. And the first part we are looking at, it's harassment. What's harassment? We have people who are going to be talking about that. And if you're here already, we need you to also share your experiences with us. How have you been able to deal with harassment? I get harassed. I did a transaction recently and the men were not satisfied. They were actually men that I did the transaction with. And they started to taunt me. You want to carry out the money. Even if you eat all the money, you are very thin. Now we'll break all this, your thin bones. Even if you eat all of them, it will not still make you fat. You know? I got back. I won't even lie. Even with my kind of mature, strong, I got home and I was like, so I'm really this thin. I started to look at my legs all over. And, you know, I walk out because I want to stay fit. And then it became an issue because I had an issue with some people. All of them were like 3. They're taunting me. And at a point, I said, you're harassing me. And I said, who harass you now? The lawyer then make it, they say they harass you. It's so common. You can actually be dragged as a lady because you're trying to say, no, it's not like that. This is how we should do it. You can actually threaten and say they will beat you because I was told just of late that we will just be like, me said that I'm a lawyer. Me said that my face is strong like this. So what happens to those young people, those young men, those young boys and all that? So that's the reason we're having this conversation. How do we deal with it? What can we do? What can we do, basically? Someone was raising a hand, but before I call you, I'd like to quickly just introduce our guest quickly, because some of your questions, some of your observations, they are going to be treating it. So I have with me here my plus size lady. She's the organizer of plus size women. The feminist is a feminine, not feminist, is a feminine group, like the lady, like not competitive. Well, feminism is being abused anyway, because the reason for feminists, that's why you have them around, is to ensure that, to tell you that men and women, we are the same. Yeah, our roles may be different, our strengths may be different, but you're a human being, I'm a human being. Respect that. That's actually what feminism is all about. It's not supposed to be something that we should disassociate ourselves from. Most of our parents are feminists, because women like us, when we were growing up, most did not go to school because they were just married up. So if we had the opportunity of going to school, we should talk about it, because that's actually feminism. Equality in everything. But there are roles. We should not forget that. The roles are different, but we are all equal. So she organizes the plus size ladies, like the fashion parade. I've seen it once in a while. So that's Teresa Ananaba. Thank you, madam, for coming. I appreciate you. I also have with me awareness. You can unmute and just say hi to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
All right, you're welcome. So we also have with us awareness expert. I'm in our group. She's a coach. As a coach, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, she will drag you, basically, and you have to submit your routine. You understand? And she runs a chemist, like a wellness center around Ogun State, and they will expand soon into Lagos. So she runs that, and she's also a managing director, a manager, yes, the general manager of one of these insurance health companies. I'd like you to help me welcome Mrs. Odunige Ipeiwa. Unmute and welcome. Okay, all right. We have Ronke here. Ronke, she's HRO. She's very vocal when it comes to social space, because I see a lot of things that she do in the social space, and she volunteers for a lot of organizations as it relates to young ladies, young men having their rights protected, where to stay if you have issues, if you're harassed, what you need to do, and if you don't really have somewhere to stay, there's some home. She works with some homes that take in people who have social issues. Aderoke Obaoye say, welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring us. Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Okay, good evening, everybody. Nice to be here. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so we also have Esther Amoye. I can't see her here now. I think she's here. Let me just move. Okay. Okay, I'll just introduce her. When she comes, she would join us. She's a human HRO2. She's a doctor, and she's in charge of talent management company, and she has a lot of experience when it comes to workplace experiences and a bit of social issues here and there. Amore, you're also welcome. Then I have with me here my colleague, Yanda Ayodele. I can't find him right now, but I think he's around too. If you are here, just let me know. Okay. Is a
I mean,
lawyer.
it's Inyonda.
Iyonda. Am I correct?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Inyonda,
Okay.
yes, you are correct.
Okay. So you're welcome, sir. You're
Thank you very
welcome.
much.
I put him
I'm
on my
glad
status. I have
to be
to
here.
hype him a bit. I'm not even going to lie about that. We did masters together, and see, it's solid when it comes to human rights. That's the truth. All of them were saying, "This is my lawyer."
Thank
Someone
you very
actually
much.
said, when police harassed me, when I brought this lawyer, police Melo, some of them are here, so I'm not even. I don't hype people. I'm not very good with that, but I was just laughing, and I'm like, I'm going to give him the feedback. He was kind of embarrassing. No, I'm like, don't be humble. That is your duty. Use it and,
Thank you very
and
much.
profit from it. Let people be blessed with it, and you also would profit from it. Basically, my doctor, I haven't seen him, but I think he's also here. Maybe he just wave us. Dr. Sasu is a public health expert. He is going to be talking about mainly the consequences of this harassment that we usually not talk about so much. So quickly, we are off to the program now. We've started immediately. We are here already. Someone was raising a hand. I thought you should keep the hand raised so that I could allow you to speak. I don't know. Do you still have a question? Someone was raising a hand when I was talking. Hello? Okay. While we are waiting for them, I would like Vice Ayodele to give us a brief. What's harassment? Looking at the legal perspective. For all of us here, what do you think harassment is? And what are the consequences? Let's just talk about the harassment. We'll drag out we'll talk about the consequences time. So what's harassment? And what should we do when we are faced with it? Harassment is so subtle that they say it's just normal and he only just slapped you. Oh no, he didn't even slap you, he just literally threatened to slap you. And before you know it, the person is slapped. And before you know it, the person is killed. And that's how harassment is built up. So Maester Ayodele, help us.
I'm sorry, can you give me like a minute, please? A minute.
All right.
Yeah, a minute, please.
Okay, that's my problem. So
thank you.
Okay. Madam Teresa, you've been in this space for a very long time. I think I myself were kind of guilty. We used to taunt you a lot, like But over time, you've built this. How do I say? I've known her a very long time, so don't worry. So you built this resistance. I like you to talk to us. How did you do it? What gave you the insight into the feminine stuff you are doing right now? The feminine plus parade that you beauty fashion parade that you do.
Yeah. I'm sorry to cut you short. I'm here. I'm back. I'm ready.
So just
thank you very much. I'm sorry for the delay.
Let Tessie finish talking, then you would come in.
It's okay.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Once again, thank you for having me. It's a great privilege. I'm just going to talk about briefly, what being plus size has been. When you are plus size, it's not easy. What people don't understand most times is that it's not food. It could be hereditary. I am talking from experience now, from everything I've had to go through. Being around your mates and being the biggest person, going out and people are just standing at the bus stop, somebody walks by you and says something derogatory to you, trying to enter the bus. Immediately you try to enter, the people who are already seated are frowning. And you will go for maybe in the office, somebody is having a birthday party and they bring cake to the office to share it. As soon as they get to where you are, another of your colleagues is telling you, you shouldn't be eating cake. And it's not healthy when you have people breathing down your neck at every second because you're big. People don't understand that you didn't create yourself. You didn't make yourself fat or plus size. I don't like using the word fat because, I mean, we're big, so we have to make it to, like we always say. So going along, I realized that I'm not just the only one who is having this kind of issues. You find out that even some women who are married, they're having the issues from home. Emotional abuse. You can't do anything. You are scared to eat because, hey, what will my husband say? You really cannot do anything. You cannot even say what's going on. And it becomes a problem. You can't eat because you feel somebody is watching you. You are not free. So I looked at this kind of thing. I discussed with a few people and I realized that, okay, I think those of us who are big, we need a community of our own where we can thrive so that people can understand that there's more to us than the flesh. There's more to us in our heads. There's more we have to offer. But you people look down on us because you feel that, oh, she's big, she can't do anything. So that's how the whole thing started for me. And I decided that, okay, fine. We can wear clothes and look nice. We can live healthy in spite of the fact that we are big. So it became, that's how the journey into creating the company Feminine Grace, and then having the Miss Plus Size beauty pageant as well came in, as well as other things too. So
Okay.
as the discussion continues, I will talk more. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Teresa. We really, really appreciate you. And some of us are guilty. As the way they tell me that I'm very thin, that's why sometimes we transfer the aggression to when we see Teresa, like, Madam, she's so. So some of us are guilty of that, even though it's friendly banter, but the truth is some of those things do have their own psychological effects. The biggest of the smallest, we can't all be the same size. We can't all look the same. We will never look the same anyway. We will all never be the same size. So that's basically it. So, Mr. Ayodele, if you're ready, we're also ready to receive you. What's
It's
harassment
okay.
from the legal perspective, and
It's
what
okay. Thank
media
you for
is?
having me once again. Um, Harassment as a concept, it's such a very wide concept. It is very wide in the sense that it's almost in every strata of our lives. You can find harassment in the home front, in the workplace, in churches, in mosques, in schools, in marketplace, along the street. You can find it anywhere. So with this, it is very difficult to have a globally acceptable definition for harassment. None of our laws has looked into harassment as a concept. I mean, universally to give it a generally acceptable definition. What most of our laws have looked into is the sexual part of harassment, and mostly sexual harassment in workplace. But since the question is what is harassment, I think we'll just go with the ordinary meaning of what harassment is. We'll try to expatiate and drive the point home by giving instances, the laws that we can pick from our body of laws, and try to get something for participants to understand what harassment is. Ordinary meaning of harassment is aggressive pressure or intimidation. That is ordinarily what it means when you keep mounting pressure on someone, undue pressure, and this brings about intimidation or unwanted advances or unwanted gestures. It's just as I've said earlier on, it can be in any form. But for the sake of this discussion, let's look at criminal law. By virtue of Section 262 of the Lagos State Criminal Law 2011, it describes sexual harassment as unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other visual, verbal, or physical conduct of a sexual nature implicitly or explicitly affects a person's employment or educational opportunity or unreasonably interferes with the person's work or educational performance. Um, or it also implicitly or explicitly suggests that submission to or rejection employment decisions or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive learning or working environment. In the criminal law of Lagos State 2011, we can see that it focuses on harassment in the workplace, harassment in the learning environment. I mean, in our schools. But despite the fact that this the places in which this definition of sexual harassment or any form of harassment focuses on.
Mr. Ayodele, we are having issues with your network. Can you hear me, everyone? I hope it's not from my own end. Okay, so we are having issues with Mr. Ayodele's network. He was trying to actually define harassment when it comes to our laws. Like, that's the reason why we need to have this social discussion. Harassment, as common as it is, it's not really in our laws. It will shock you. It's not like specifically handled. So that's why sometimes people are saying, they're like, it's normal now. Why don't you just deal with it? It's normal. It's normal. But it isn't. It shouldn't be. It's not a normal thing. So I believe that the more we have this conversation, the more we are able to create awareness around it. It was just how many years ago that they talked about sexual harassment a lot. That's when the National Assembly decided to create something along that line that is even hardly enforceable, because the woman would have to almost, how do I even say, like proving it is.
Hello.
Unless you have to hold on. Welcome back. Just hold on. So proving it is usually very, very difficult because
Hello.
you just hold on. You are back. Can you hear me? Just help us fix your network, and when you are back, you just let us know. So we're just taking it up from here. So if you can't also hear the speakers, please use your earpiece. As much as possible, let's use our earpiece, and let's stay in a very quiet environment too. Network has been affecting everyone, so I'd like to apologize on behalf of Barrister Ayodele. So I'm going to quickly go to the HRO. It's talked about sexual harassment. Like I was saying, eventually when the laws started coming up, all you usually talk about is sexual harassment, yes, which is very common. It's a stat that 1 out of 3 ladies, it's not even something you should dispute, has been harassed sexually. Yeah, so that's the statistics that is everywhere. So 1 out of 3 ladies have been harassed. Guys is about 24%. When you come, ladies 81%. Then for guys, men is about, that's young boys, and it's about 24% when you compare it to the things that ladies understand. So in a lifetime, most ladies most ladies, if they are not careful, would be harassed by their intimate partner, even at home. Most of the time, those who are supposed to take care of them would also harass them. So it's clear. So that's why most of the time we get to hear about sexual harassment, sexual harassment, sexual harassment. But harassment is not just about the sexual harassment. Those are just subsets of it. You have sexual harassment, which happens to either male or female. Of course, it's more common with the female, because of course we have different aspects of our body. We are beautiful, and that's it. We're supposed to attract people, men, basically. But that does not give anybody the right to harass any of us. But the emphasis is men also suffer from harassment. So we have sexual harassment. We have physical harassment. Physical harassment, threat of violence. And if it's not taken care of, it leads to violence. That's what Sylvester kept experiencing until his unfortunate demise as a young child. So it happens all the time. Then we also have racial harassment because you are Black, automatically, or because, yes, it's just automatic. This one, if you're Black and you're in some environment, you are the one that committed the crime. You are the first person they will meet. Come, because you're Black. So that's another form of harassment. Then for us who are Nigerians, we have the tribal one. Like, Nigerians, we can yab ourselves when it comes to some things. That's tribal, it's harassment. Omo Igbo, Omo Yoruba. Those things are harassment. And sometimes we take it very, very far. Then we have the religious too. Because this person, that's what I was trying to say. This person is not my kind, does not do or worship God well. I worship God, then I have to subject the person to some form of harassment. So that's it. When we talk about that religious harassment, you see that you have to be this kind of person before you get this kind of favor. You have to be in this kind of religious setting before you get this kind of favor. So we're quickly coming back to the workplace. The workplace is common because that's where a lot of adults spend their time. We're not going to even dispute that. You leave the house in the morning very early and you have to come back. You're in Lagos, sometimes people come in midnight. Let's deal with it because of traffic and all that. So that's why a lot of people spend their time. So I'll quickly bring in Mr. Ayodele for like 2 minutes. Then Mrs. Amoye, after Mr. Ayodele, I'd like you to talk about dealing with harassment in workplace. So Esther, Madam Esther, you're going to help us do that quickly. Immediately I bring in Mr. Ayodele now. Please tell me on mute, Mr. Ayodele. Thank you. Mr. Ayodele, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Put your hand down. Thank you.
Okay.
Your bandwidth is low, so you may need to quickly just summarize for us. Are you still there?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I'm here now.
All right, please.
Are you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm sorry for the loss in connection. Perhaps my Wi-Fi worked against me at the moment. I'm sorry about that. So I was discussing the definition or description of what harassment is, and we were focusing on sexual harassment and harassment in the workplace or in other places. And I could deduce that it's one that's actually done much on that.
Okay, we can't hear you anymore. Mrs. Amoye, please. Okay, let's quickly take Margaret. Margaret is raising her hand. Please, can you help me unmute Margaret?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Margaret Owell. I have a question. I mean, I was getting interested in what the last speaker was saying, and I was hoping that he was able to complete his definition of harassment, especially in the workplace. That is very, very, very important. So I used to be HR in Nigeria for almost 5 years. And at that point, I know we had a lot of conversations and a lot of cases that we had to take care of. The first thing I would want to say is, I mean, it's been a bit, but I want to know, is there, we have to consider a lot of stuff. What does the law say? So what the law in general says about harassment. Then two, if we're bringing it down to workplace harassment, what are the limitations of the law? What's the max you can do and what's the least you can do? And after that, the next would be, how do we handle retaliation? So take, for example, I walk into the office and my boss says, oh, you're looking smarter today. Is it because you've added some hips? That's an harassment. So if I decide to report the boss to the HR, how am I sure that I still have a job the next morning? So those are all the factors I'm looking. I'm just being very curious to see what the extent of speaking out would be, because you can speak out. It's free. There is I remember Biola used to say there's freedom of speech. Freedom after speech is what is not guaranteed, right? So what are the limitations of this law, and how far can somebody express that displeasure or being insecure in the workplace? Or we're really talking workplace, because it's really even before I left, it was very severe. And now that jobs are like, it's like gold, how can I speak up and still keep my job?
Thank you. Mrs. Amoye, please. Are you here? Okay. Ruhe, can you help us, please? Please unmute. Can you hear me, Runke?
Okay. Yes, I can.
Okay. So you heard what the last speaker talked. Okay, let's Amoye come in first, because I called her before you. Then you will take it over after that. Mrs. Amoye, please.
Yes.
Aderoke, just hold on a bit. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
So, okay, I wanted to share something on the screen, but it's fine. Let's just talk through this. I had the conversations and, of course, the issues when it comes to workplace harassment and the discrimination, or, whichever way you want to put it. Now, when we are defining harassment in the workplace, it is a behavior, right? Because all things we're talking about is human beings. So it's not a systemic issue, it's people. So engaging in a course of vexatious comments or conduct against someone in the workplace meant, that something that is unwelcome, that the person does not really want. If the person is not inviting it, but you are going out of your way to do that to the person. Like the example IT gave earlier, it's not something that is demanded. It's something that is forced upon you. So that's a form of harassment. That's what harassment means, right? Now, it can be once, it can be repetitive when it happens to us in the workplace. But what happens is most of the time when it happens to somebody for the first time, you think, am I sure? Did I really get the size right? Was that intentional or not? And then before you know it, the person continues, to act in that manner towards us. Now, one thing that promotes any form of harassment in the workplace, whether racial, whether religious, discrimination, physical, verbal, or sexual, is silence. That act of silence, I'm not saying anything about it, is what promotes it. It's just like in the home setting. When abuse happens, the more you keep quiet about it, the more it continues to happen. So in the workplace, one of the things that, kind of attacks it very quickly is addressing it. Now, retaliation happens in a place where, there's no freedom of expression. So there's politics of power play, and there's cultural coloration whereby it is said, okay, are you sure? Were you guys not in a relationship? Did you not? All those kind of things. And then sometimes you even have it playing out in appraisal. So somebody has worked hard, but because you did not return some favors or gestures, or somebody wants you to return favors for, having put you on a project or commending you, and the person you don't do that, the person doesn't promote you. That's a form of harassment, right? So that's why some people would not openly come and say, this happened to me, and of course, lots of issues that now come. The wellness people a person can talk about that or address it. It ties to mental imbalance. You begin to doubt yourself, or you begin to, become restless, psychologically disturbed, you know, you don't even want to go to work, a lot of issues that I don't know if you want me to address now, but in terms of workplace harassment, there is retaliation that happens, and that's why people continue to keep quiet. And how can that be addressed? Where you have a policy-driven organization, if the organization has a policy in place, you know, that makes it clear that when anybody is harassed, these are the measures, this is what will happen and all that. However, there's no law, no labor law that actually backs you up. That is the truth, you know. And I was shocked that up to now, nothing has happened, if not for, I think it's the National Industrial Court law or judgment that we had, and then Lagos State as well. There's this, I think commercial law or something like that they came up with. Yes, Lagos State commercial law, you know, that addresses what happens in the corporate setting, to say when this happens, when somebody verbally abuses you, in quotes, harasses you, you know, makes jokes, you know, see buttocks, see this and all that. It's a form of harassment. So there's a bit more awareness going on, but it still happens because economy is bad. So nobody wants to be told to go and sit at home. So some people begin to continue to still tolerate it in the workplace. And if I could share my slide, you'll see that it's not just for the ladies alone. Guys are now being harassed. There are men who are pushed into relationships by their female bosses or colleagues because they are powerful. You know, so it's not something that happens to just ladies now. It happens to everybody, you know, and you find older people also being harassed. But somehow, funny enough, this generation right now are bold, they can express themselves, and there are some people who are not intellectually, you know, out there. So they'll tell you, guy, sir, please, do you want me to do this or don't you want me to do it? So it's a lot going on in the workplace right now. The unfortunate thing is we don't have enough data. What I have in the slide just shows what has happened and how that awareness has, you know, continued to grow in the past few years. There have been conversations, you know, people are more aware of their rights. You know, people can stand up the more. Some people are more, how do I put it? Put this, more aloof-minded. So now say, you know what, I will sit at home. You know, if you like, don't give me this, or I won't do it. If you won't promote me, don't promote me. So that's the reality we have right now. If there are questions, you know, I can actually, you know, address that. If you want me to continue to talk, I'll just quickly talk about one of the things that we need to know, to look out for when we see workplace sexual harassment. Familiarity is a good ground. You know, there are those people that will just gradually, you know, hello, touch you here. There are some people that they can't talk to a lady without, you know, checking if electricity is passing through your body or not, you know. Hi, you know, how are you doing? So when you begin to see that somebody is going beyond the acceptable social distance now, they brought us into, COVID has helped us actually looked into that the more. There's personal space, you know, there's social space. Personal space, when you come into my personal space, I get uncomfortable. So when you're talking to people, give them gap. Also, there are people who can't control themselves. You know, we ladies, we love perfumes and all that. There are people who every day, the moment when they are thinking about it, is your perfume that is harassing them. When you're having a conversation with them, just stay away. But when somebody, everybody is laughing. So when people talk to you and they move too close to you, you actually want to also be sensitive and read the signs. Some people don't even know they're harassing you. And that is the truth. You know, I called you, you didn't pick my phone. What's happening to you? You know, I can't do this thing without you. Excuse me? What is happening here? You know, before it goes beyond, you know, the realm of handshake and becomes, you know, a kind of puzzle. So we should look at.
Madam Esther, I will pause you there right now. Just hold your first line. Can you hear me? You just hold. Let's hear Margaret Ho. Please help me unmute Margaret. Let's hear what she has to say quickly. Hello, ma'am.
Muted. I'm muted. Okay, nice. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I like what you just said now, Dr. Esther, but I still feel that is so very generic about what harassment is and how to help people deal with the situation. It's very easy for us to advise employees, talk to the team and say, once you're harassed, come and report to us. It's always good. It's easy to say that, but the truth is they would lose their job because they have no protection in the workplace. As you just clearly said, there's no law that is going to protect them if they take it to court. And if they can't go to court, it's only stupid if they lose their job. So I think the direction that we should be looking at is how do you prevent yourself from becoming vulnerable? I said, I was talking to Ifeanyi the other day, and I said, an average Nigerian man can't talk to you with his hands in his pockets. His hands are all over the place, always looking for something to touch and tap. It's not because they want to, I think an average, I can be wrong, but an average African man likes to flirt with his hands. I don't know, just wanting to touch something. Maybe not more than that particular face value, but they do it as a matter of reflex. Okay, so that is how harassment starts, when a man cannot talk to you without touching your shoulders, looking over your shoulders, giving you a hug that you're not requesting for. That's where it starts from. So how do we prevent those early stages that can be curbed without being a non-team player? Because when you walk into your office and you're giving setting boundaries that no other person has, people start looking at you and saying, oh, she's not a friendly person. Oh, I don't want to get into trouble. And at that time, your supervisor comes to you and say, you are no longer a team player because people are not comfortable walking around you. So how do we create a balance that I can go into my workplace? I try to put a limitation on my space, and yet I can still relate to people, still see me as normal, and I'm still a team player. I think that's important because otherwise people start dealing with these things, and that's what leads to mental health issues. That's why when people are driving back home on the traffic of Lagos Island, everybody's driving like crazy because they're trying to pour out their anger on the streets of Lagos. So that's what leads to the mental state that now gives a bigger problem. People start having eating disorders. People start having sleepless nights. People cry, they dread to go into work every day. So let me not just let me not just waste more time. But my question now is, how do we prevent or set boundaries or measures that will not make us seem like we are not team players and people start staying away from us?
We need this. We need people to come in and also share how they overcame some of these challenges, bearing in mind that we do not have strong laws. That's why we decide to take on this kind of social issues. We don't have strong laws that would that the person can boldly say, I'm going to court. There's a law. All the person would go for most of the time, it's sexual harassment. Lagos State is working around it. But you have to look at the thought aspect of it. That's where you can even get anything at all. If you don't, when I mean thought, that's personal damages, like emotional and traumatic experiences that you go through because of the harassment, and those things are actually difficult to prove. So while we are at it, knowing that there are shortcomings, would also appreciate if people can give us practical examples of how they overcame these things. That's the essence of this discourse. If we take that part out, then we're basically not doing enough, because we know that there are lots of shortcomings. So I'm going to go back to Dr. Esther now, and if Barrister Ayodele is there, after Dr. Esther, I'd like you to throw light on maybe Margaret's issue. Would hand that over to Aderonke. So Dr. Esther, please, would like you to unmute and just what do you think she can do? What do you think she can do? What are the laws that you think would guide her? Or in their practical experiences, how we were able to overcome some of those challenges? Maybe we would also like you to share it. Thank you. Esther, over to you.
Okay, thank you once again, everyone, and well done, all the speakers, all the people that have asked questions. You see, the truth is our environment and our society is, I don't want to say developing, is an evolving one, and what we tolerate will continue to accommodate, So when it comes to issues of harassment and all that, yes, I hear that, a lot of politics goes into it, and I have my personal experience, and I agree completely. However, it takes the bold and the audacious, to be able to confront, harassers and also organizations. In terms of law, the truth is that there have been cases over the past few years, I think up to 4 or 5 years, and organizations have been paying compensations for both, I think, verbal and sexual, so not just for sexual harassment itself, for even verbal harassment. When they are taken to court, they are made to pay. They pay compensation. However, most of the time, employees cannot take their employers to court while they are still within the organization. And, they say, Yoruba would say that you can't go to the court and come back as friends. You can't take somebody to court and return as friends. So usually if you want to explore that person who is being, treated somehow or being maligned and all that, that person has to take a decision. Do I want to stay here or do I want to go out and seek redress for myself? However, when it gets to that point, I can assure you, if it is not, so if this was international settings or organizations, there will be somebody counseling and talking to that person and helping the person get through that. What the person is going through now, if she's not careful, she may have a mental breakdown. So if I were able to talk to her, or if I were in her shoes, I would rather find my way out of that place first and foremost, because it's not worth it at the end of the day. Yes, we'll say economy and all that, but your life is more important. Now, Martin Luther King says, just a moment, he says that the whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. We must take a stand. Yes, how would they treat me? I had to take a stand, at some point, not that I was sexually, harassed, but, I'd been dealing with this boss who would say anything to anyone. And on this day, he said, are you mad? And I said, no, I'm not mad. He said, what did you say? I said, I'm not mad. So if you're somebody who follows TikTok now, there's this, you are mad. I'm not mad. It's not me that's mad. Are you talking to me? It's your father that is mad. That kind of a thing. If, when people harass you, or when people intimidate you, when they feel like you are a good ground for harassment and abuse, they'll keep coming back. So at some point, it's important we are able to stand for ourselves, and beyond the workplace, I had somebody who was harassing me. And you know what, when I caught her one-on-one, I said, if you try this thing with me, I'll deal with you. You find that they don't really, one-on-one, they don't have muscle to deal with you. The only way, and who can deal with you really, who can harass us? People who are positioned above us, people who have the power and authority over us, or people who have more money. Those are the three categories of people that can harass you. So if you don't have what you use to contest with them, or contend with them, then you better have your mouth to deal with them. And sometimes it's good. These days, I have some young people that I coach. There was one of them I said, you know what, why don't you do a recording without this person knowing? There was this BBC, something we had last year that was going everywhere, maybe last year or 2 years ago, where BBC did a kind of investigative journalism work into Unilag. And I told her, I said, why don't you have a recording of this thing and, make sure this person is caught somehow saying some of these things. And she did. Do you know that what she did was to go and talk to her mentor in the same organization? That mentor is part of the group that they harass people. There's no policy to support her going through a process, of seeking redress. So by the time she told her mentor, the mentor called the person to her and said, guy, what is all that? You better leave this girl alone and stop it. So that's how it works. Everybody's situation and your organization determines how you will address it. But if you can't address it while inside, I think it's always necessary to seek a way, to get out and then seek redress. Most people don't think that they can win in court. Most people don't have the boldness to go to court. Most people don't want to do all that. They say, you better be careful. We are too fearful, you know. Yala would say that I don't want to die. This one is happening. Mama there for us, the king there for us. I know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I would have other people also quickly share their views. I'm a lawyer. I encourage you to go to court, but always have an evidence before you decide to throw away what you're holding on to first. Considering our environment, we don't have the social environment that will take you in when the issues actually start. So, Aderoke, please, can we bring in Aderoke? She works with some of these people that are taking people. So I haven't heard what OJ had talked about, and you have dealt with some of those people who have had issues with harassment over time. What's your advice? What's your take? Then after that, we'll go to if anyone who will help us to discuss the mental health, what the person can do while still in the organization, and how the person can find a way of leaving the organization so that the mental health can stay the way it should be. You don't go crazy because you need to stay in a job, basically. So Aderonke, please.
Okay, hello, good evening, everyone. Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. I'm the only one that would answer you. We can all hear you.
Oh, all right. Okay, yes. Sexual harassment, the one I've actually dealt with is the one of these young girls. Okay, not the workplace harassment. The workplace harassment is a different stage. It's something that is very difficult, but only God can help because it happens. And if you think to fight goes, you can't win at all time. Then for the young girls, yes, I've dealt with that one a lot. In fact, I volunteer for an NGO that is being both the Foundation. It happens. See these young girls, these teenage girls, they are being impregnated by men. And then what they do is that when such cases happen, they report. This NGO takes up this case, and then the government, they file these people, they file them, and then they suffer for it. Either they are jailed or they pay some certain. So there are houses that shelter these girls, like Echoes of Mercy, then being both foundations, then Sea Hope House. So many of these homes, what they do is that they help these girls, they counsel them, they take them in when they are pregnant, and in all those periods, they also sponsor them to school. So what we'll do is if any of such cases happen, I have people I can report. So maybe if you know a man that is harassing a young girl, I can always take that up. I know people, NGOs that I can report to that are going to take up this case, and this Lagos state government, they are going to take up the case, and the person cannot go scot-free. So it's something. So we should let our young girls know that they shouldn't be. Maybe nobody should bribe them or just say, I want to help you, I want to give you something. So we should tell our young girls in the school or in the neighborhood, don't just let anybody say, oh, I want to help you, I want to be your friend, I want to give you something. Let them know that their yes is yes. Nobody should touch me. Nobody should touch me. My no is no, my yes is yes. Nobody should just harass me, touching me anyhow, telling me, forcing me to do something against my words. You know that harassment, humiliates, is an aggressive pressure. It's something that affects you negatively in your emotion. You should let them know that anybody that is trying to harass them, forcing them against their will, they should always say, no, please stop it. And they should always report. So these cases, it happens everywhere. It happens in the neighborhood. It happens even in churches, in mosques, in schools. So let our girls always know that their no is no. Nobody should touch me. And I must report. Don't trust anybody don't trust any man that is not your father. You should always make sure that you open up to a trusted adult. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Just to take Aderoke's line, I want to put on Aderoke's line. Sometimes we need support when we are having harassment challenges. Yes, that's what we're having. Like I said, we're having this social discourse. So we're going to be putting up a link. If you wish to join and you've been thinking that, oh, I have these issues, how do I go about it? A link is going to be coming up soon. You can join us so that we would find a way to keep putting pressure until this harassment issue is treated the way it should be treated. We've talked about harassment is not just sexual advances. That's not it. It's not just sexual advances. You have the physical, you have the verbal that is more difficult to prove. you have it. It's like, well, did I touch you? Did I touch you? You know, I didn't touch you. What did I do? You are slim. It's not my fault. You are looking haggard. I didn't do anything to you. That's verbal, like emotional. You're unable to do anything about it because most of the time there's no evidence. The physical, yes, it becomes a case of assault, battery, and all that. You have evidence most of the time. So if you think that, okay, you're going through some of these things and you don't know what to do, a link will be put up. Join us. Let's push these social issues out there. Let's keep talking about it so that peer pressure are the things that will change a society, mostly like ours. Dr. Esther said our society is not even developed. It's actually evolving. We're evolving. We don't even know where we are yet. We're just trying to evolve. Like, then we'll find it. We'll decide what we are at the end of the day. So let's also position ourselves to be able to create something along that line. Mrs. Odunige, we would like you to quickly talk about the mental aspect of this harassment that we are discussing. It has mental implication. It has issues. Someone is raising hand. If that's you, please unmute yourself. Thank you. You can't unmute yourself. Co-host, she can't speak. Click on your unmute. I think you've done that already.
To unmute, so she should be able to unmute now. Let her try again.
You should unmute. So yeah, click again, please. Can you hear me? Click again on unmute. That's it. From saying that you're muted, you have to click your own space.
Okay.
Yes.
Done.
Good.
Yeah.
Whose hand
Okay,
is this? Please put your hands down.
My hands down. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Itoha. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this platform, and thank you for taking out time to join this wonderful conversation. I mean, it's a very very important one. People shy away from conversations like this, and I think it's one we should be having from time to time so that it opens up our minds to how we could actually tackle these social vices. So from the wellness angle now, I mean, with all being said, from the legal aspect, from the medical aspects, from the HR angle too, yes, I'm very much concerned about should I say the HR angle, the workspace, because 90% of us actually work, we're in the labor force, and I mean, we spend 90% of our time in the office space. And I think what we actually take in and shapes our lifestyle now. I remember once upon a time, when I started working, I got into this toxic space, and yes, it was a very big battle for me. But you see, growing up along the line, I've been able to handle such. And when people always talk to me about resignation now, yes, most times I'm like, if it will better your mental health, if you know it's not going to make you crazy and you feel it's the best part of it, fine, all well and good. Why don't you just take a break out of this? So yes, with all that being said, there's a mental aspect of it, and harassment, gaslighting, bullying, call it whatever name you want to call it. I mean, it's a psychological form of emotional abuse. And emotional abuse is not just waka pass kind of abuse. I mean, it can actually bring up a stigma on that individual, be it in the workspace, be it in an environment, school environment. Yes, especially the school environment now. You see the case of that Sylvester's issue. It had actually been like a recurrent thing. And I mean, before the parents lost the guy, I mean, it was already more like the guy was more than stigmatized. Yes, let me use that word, because it's something he kept on talking about and nobody was hearing him out. And, you know, he had to deal with that fear, and he was already running through that trauma of even mentioning anything. Okay, back to, you know, the word harassment and, you know, all has been going on. It comes in different forms. I mean, visual. It's not just verbal and sexual. I mean, it comes in visual. You know, there's a way somebody would just look at you and you know, this head would interpret the whole message. It comes in visual forms. It comes in verbal forms. Verbal forms comes like derogatory statements when, yes, you talk about, you body sham a woman or even, you know, body sham someone, whether the person is slim or fat, be it a guy or a woman. Physical harassment is also involved. There are people in marriages that, you know, get beaten and all of that. So it comes in different forms. And the someone says financial form. Oh yeah, yes, financial form. Yeah. So I mean, the after effect of all of this is trauma. You see a lot of people saying, I have PTSD, I have a post-traumatic disorder or post-traumatic issues and all of that. They're actually trying to come out of some form of pressure. It could be social pressure, it could be medical and all of that. They're trying to come out of what has actually triggered, you know, has actually triggered some form of harassment and all of that. So it comes in different ways. Now, first and foremost, I heard recently someone say Lagos is the most unhealthy part of the world to live in. I mean, yes, but what do we know? We're all learning to live with, you know, the thug life and the thug environment and all of that. So first and foremost, you work or you don't work. I would always advise you, take out time to rest. Take out time to rest. Rest is important. The Western world that created vacation and all of that and tourism and all of that. I thank God now in this part of the world now, Nigeria is now taking hold of tourism. I thank God now when it's Christmas or some form of holiday, we have a lot of social groups that make out events for people to come together, either a boat ride or some form of picnic or bowling and all of that. Yes, I would always tell people, see, this world will pass and you will end up not going for that vacation. Don't wait till you have money. Make out time and ease off that tension. Ease up. See, all of us are harassed, whether we like it or not. If you stay in Lagos, you are harassed. The traffic harasses us. If you are in Nigeria, you are harassed. So it's more like balancing this life that we're living in, because once you leave the face of this world, that is the end. So your mental health is very much important now. You have to take care of your mental health. And how do you do this? Take out time to rest. The weekend is for resting, please. Not every day party this, party that. There's some parties you can attend to. There's some parties you can turn down. Turning down does not mean you're evil or you're wicked or you don't want to, you know, you're not a source of that person's joy. There's some form of attendance you could actually reciprocate with. You could actually send for gifts and cash gifts and all of that. So take out time to rest. Take out time. Some people find joy in going out for parties. Fine. If it suits you, all well and good. Some people take out time in shopping. If you have the money, you do it sensibly. Some people take out time. Do what makes you feel happy. And yeah, I mean, that's it. I think that's just basically it. The most important thing is balancing this life that we're living in, because whether we like it or not, the world is evolving, and it's not just about Nigeria alone. The world is evolving. New things happen every day. New things happen every day. So whether you like it or not, you need to strike a balance between the things you do. Try and take out time, and the absorbing of verbal harassment in the workspace. I was going to talk about that. Be it from a colleague. We've been talking about sexual harassment in the workplace. We're talking about verbal harassment and all of that amongst colleagues, making derogatory jokes and all of that. Don't forget that when it comes to there's a boss and an employee boss, an employee-employer form of relationship whereby you're pressured into, okay, what will my boss think? I have to put in my best. You know, you're not relaxed performing your daily duties. And I feel that's toxic enough. So if you're not relaxed performing your daily duties, I mean, the job is not good for you. You have to be happy. Yes, everybody would say, yes, I'm under pressure. I'm under pressure. If you find yourself in that condition, please, you have to take out time. You have to take out time, check your blood pressure at all times. You have to make sure you're medically fit, because many times we hear people slum. We really do not know why they slum. But by the time you now check in time past, you find out that, oh, he was going through this, plus finances, so plus Nigeria. There's this new thing they say now, may Nigeria not happen to you, plus family, or plus everything. Everything is all overwhelming you. And you now add your toxic work to it. There's a bit of a problem there. So you need to be happy. You need to make yourself happy at all times and balance this. It would always come, but how do you handle it? How do you make sure that you don't get to the depression stage? How do you make sure you don't get to depression? Because that is where it will head to if you do not balance it very well. I think that's all I have to say on this aspect. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We are gradually wrapping this up quickly. Like I already mentioned, is an ongoing conversation. It can never be a one-off conversation. It's a social space, and we intend to keep talking about it. A comment is just being put up. Nigeria itself, it harasses you. Everywhere you go to, you are doing your job quietly, you are going to markets, you are in the bus. So it harasses you. That's most part of the world. They say Nigerians are loud. Yes, we're loud because we get to face harassment all the time amongst ourselves. So we talked about having a social space for yourself. It can be by way of joining a group. It can be by way of being around people that help your mental state. That's what she just talked about. You should find that for yourself, because there's harassment everywhere. Ahmed Tijani, I see you. We will unmute you soon, but let me just round this up so that when we are done with you, we just bring the speakers to say one or two things before we go. So a quick one. I want you to find a group that would help you mentally. If it's going to pass for you, yes, it may not be specifically provided for. Let me emphasize, it may not be specifically provided for, but do know that you can always have your thoughts, like it's called personal damages. You can always have that. If it's verbal, for instance, if you come to court and you're able to establish the necessary ingredient, you would always have damages. It can only be by damages, because we don't have laws criminalizing some form of harassment here, except sexual harassment, mostly in workplaces. But you can come by way of thoughts, and you can establish those things. If it's physical, you can tell the court that those things affected you mentally and all that. So that's the emphasis. Just don't give up, because we know we have admitted to ourselves that it's present with us. It lives in our homes. Harassment lives with us right from birth. We see it everywhere we go to. You go to school, it's becoming even scarier in schools now. We're going to have a section on that separately. The school system is becoming really scary, because children in primary schools are even forced to protect themselves now by way of gangsterism. They are bullied into joining those things. And bullying is harassing, basically. So having said that, I want you to please help me unmute Ahmed Tijani. Who is the second person? Okay, Margaret O is there again. Let's pick Ahmed Tijani first, then we'll quickly take Margaret O, then we can then summarize and close for the day. Thank you. Ahmed Tijani, I think you can unmute yourself now. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, just help me shake your head so that we're sure. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Ahmed, you can unmute yourself. Mr. Tijani? Okay, we'll take Margaret.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
All right. After Tijani, Margaret, please, you're coming. All right. Please go ahead, sir.
All right. I want to first of all thank the organizers and the host of this seminar or talk. It is a very enlightening one. First, what I would like to say is that harassment, to me, I have looked at it from the general angle first and the later one, which is specific to me. I see harassment as a thing that either synchronously or asynchronously has been established or linked to females being harassed all the time. So oftentimes I usually encourage and tell people to not neglect the fact that the other gender are also being harassed on a daily basis. I have listened to, although I came on late, but I have listened to some speakers speak about harassment at work from colleagues, from bosses, and I see that the line in which everybody is trolling is the fact that maybe a boss is harassing a lady, something like that. But from my own perspective, as an academic, I have worked in the institution for like over 5 years now. And one way or the other, I see that when people talk about you being a guy and you are in the academics, all they want to say is, how are you coping with the ladies in your institution? You get derogatory statements, all just because you are a young lecturer in a university. I talk to people and I say, when they ask for what I do, I tell them I lecture in a particular institution. The first comment they will give me is, how are you coping with all those ladies? I Whenever I hear that, I just feel somehow, but most times I don't get to correct people because they are either older than me or they are just people I respect a lot. But if I have avenue like this, I usually like to speak my mind. Even from the perspective of your colleagues that are females, you see when issues come up in the department or at the faculty level, the side they take is the fact that lecturers, most male lecturers are harassing female students, neglecting the fact that even female lecturers are now tending towards harassing male students now. It has gotten to the point that it is not easy for us as an academic, a male academic, to sit in your office and speak with a female student in your office. Oftentimes now, you now have to open your door just so that everybody's conscience is clear that you are sitting with your student, you are talking with your student. That shouldn't be. When female lecturers can sit in their office comfortably and talk to a male student. So harassment, we are getting to a point that it will now be linked to only females. The same way people cried for let females go to school, let females go to school, and you always get scholarship for female girls to go to school, which it is now taking a different turns. Boys are no longer going to school now, and we now have plenty females in school because they now have it and they are neglecting the boys. So in the nearest future, if we don't take care, then there will be more females that are educated than the boys, because the boys now, their thinking is now moving away from education because there is no much support. But if you are a girl, you will always see foundations that will say sponsor a girl child, sponsor a girl child, do this for a girl child, neglecting the boys. The same thing is coming to happen in the case of harassment too. I hope you understand the point I'm coming from.
I
Let
do.
me
I
not
do.
talk too much. Let me
Absolutely.
not talk too much, but at least you have heard me.
All
Thank
right.
you once again.
Thank you, Tijani. We appreciate you for this perspective. But if you came in really early, you would notice that I was of the view that sexual harassment or harassment of all forms is everybody's problem. Men get harassed. And I would also appreciate if you, for instance, um, keep talking about this. Yes, I know a couple of boys organizations who are doing that right now. Let's not neglect our boys. let's not neglect our women. We have to balance it. It's both ways. We can't neglect any gender. So, Mr. Tijani, thank you very much for this perspective. We tend to hear a lot more about female because we assume, which is they are more vulnerable. They are more vulnerable. So we hope that we'll start seeing associations like I have been seeing talk more about male because we need to help our male. Margaret O, let's quickly take your comment. Short, your, should I say comment or question or observation, very short and sharp. Please unmute.
All right, thank you so much. I just want to appreciate the opportunity to be on this platform. I really enjoyed every moment. And as a close, I'll just give my experience whilst I was, one experience I had with a colleague, which I would say is like a remedy for going forward. One thing you want to do is on your job, in Nigeria, like I say, everywhere you go to, you're harassed. So we can't take that out. Pastors are harassing members, market people are harassing buyers. You're working at the bus stop, you're trying to get a bus, the conductor is holding your hands to where you don't know. So it's everywhere. But one thing I want to say in workplace that I've witnessed that worked is there was this lady, a boss for some reason sent a mail to us and said he wanted to fire her. And when we started doing an investigation to find out why, for some reason, he just didn't like her face and the way she usually dressed. Then is that the reason why you want to fire her? From what we could investigate, that was the reason he wanted to fire her. And by the time we talked to other colleagues, we found out that he didn't really like her because she was not really giving him, paying attention to whatever else he was doing, but just a job. So probably he was trying to make passes at her, but she didn't pay attention to that. By the end of the day, by the time we checked through the books, the lady did her job on time. She was never late. She never missed any deadline. Every colleague had perfect things to say about her. At the end of the day, by the time we went back to the boss, we said, we got your request, but based on our investigations, you have no right to even suspend this lady, let alone fire her. So what does that bring? Just to round cut off the story. So for you, what I would say is make sure when you're working in the office, not because your boss is being nice to you today, the next day you're supposed to submit a job, your deadline is 5, but because he smiled at you yesterday, you will submit it at 6. Then the next day, the boss will now tell you, hey, Margaret, can I take you out for lunch? And you say, oh, why are you harassing me? Just because he gave you, he flashed some cards at you and you fell for that and you started losing your focus. So I would say, stay focused on your job, do what is right, cross your T's and dot your I's so that when push comes to shove, you can come out and say, he harassed me, and people can say, he truly harassed you. That's what my final take would be.
Thank you so much. Please, you can put down your hand now. Monica, please unmute yourself.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so the aspect I want to talk about now is, for example, myself, I've been working with some students, and while working with these students, you find out that you have children who are, for example, a twin, male and female, and then you see that these people are from low-income earning family, and then they need to be helped. And then you go meet this foundation that usually help, and they tell you, oh, we only help females. And I'm like, okay, so I'll tell the female child to go ahead and continue her education and tell the male child not to continue the education. I feel that the space where we are in now, they say gender equity, and then they want everyone to be equal. But in the real sense, it's not gender equality. Everyone is being biased now, trying to work hard and train the female child and neglecting the male child. Now, going forward again, another aspect I want to talk about is this harassment. Like when I saw what it has sent, I was like, yes, thank God someone is making this move. This harassment, I think schools should critically be looked into now. When someone mentioned the case of Sylvester Oromoni, I'm like, yes. Now you talk about harassment, everything that has happened, if you want to get to hear the truth, those who are working in the school know what really went down there. But because starting from the head, the owner of the school, the administratives and whosoever would harass these people who are aware of what happened, nobody's going to tell the truth. And that's why when I put financial form, I knew what I was talking about, because at times you see what's going on concerning a certain student, and you see teachers or the administrative not judging matter fairly because one is from a high social status and all that, and you try to voice out, and then they threaten you, or they hold back your pay and all that, or they owe you at work and they don't feel that they have the need to explain to you why you haven't been paid, and then you ask, oh, sorry, you were pulling out a certain amount of money from my salary and you're supposed to give me at the end of the session, and then you don't give it to me, and then I send an email asking, oh, sorry, I want to know if I did something wrong or what happened. And then the next threat you get is, if you ask again, you get fired. So it's this whole harassment thing is so big now. It's getting crazy, and it's almost everywhere now. We need to look into these people who say, oh, we're fighting for the girl child. Please, let's talk about equality, and let's be fair about it. You have the male counterpart, you have the female counterpart, and let us look into other areas of harassment whereby students who are being harassed cannot voice out, because even the teachers who know about it cannot also voice out, and then try to cajole this child not to speak, because if they speak, this is what's going to happen. So it's really a big one, and I'm so grateful that the people standing up now to talk about this. So I hope that this whole talk today, this whole conversation today is not going to stop here. I hope that it's going to go further than this, and so that all areas that need to be addressed can really be addressed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica, so much. It is an ongoing conversation, and we hope we would have people also respond positively as we put out these conversations out there. Keep putting up this webinar. We hope people would also respond. So I want to quickly again thank everyone for showing up. Monica, please, you can help us put down your hand. We want to thank everyone for showing up again. We appreciate you so much. And that's the only way we can do this, if we stick together and keep talking about it. Nigeria needs a lot of peer pressure. There's a social group that would help before some things can be achieved. And please, let's stay in the space so that we can achieve this together. Susie, I'm giving you 1 minute to quickly put your thoughts across. Thank you. You can unmute yourself, please. Susie, please unmute yourself.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. So, okay. First of all, I was invited to this session by Adirunke, and
Thank you.
I want to just commend what you're doing. What you guys are doing is very good, because the truth is, harassment in general is very prevalent in our society and even the world at large. And truly, like you said, more women suffer, probably. I don't have statistics for that, more than men, because most times, maybe because of the way our society is, most people don't speak up. But thank God for this awareness as it keeps going on. So there was something that happened I saw it online. A man who complimented his nursing mother colleague, and that was last week or 2 weeks ago, thereabout. He said to her, your breast or boobs are bigger. Are you breastfeeding your baby at all? And they didn't have a close relationship. So she didn't find it funny. She didn't take it lightly. From the story, she reported to the management and he was fired. So there was a lot of comments online, and it made me realize that one of the major problems of harassment is ignorance, even though it shouldn't be an excuse, because a lot of comments, mainly from women, did not see what he did as nice, while some others, mostly men, felt like she went too far. he's lost his job. It was just a comment. She could have, ignored him or walked away. But majority felt it was harassment, but he still didn't think he harassed her. So that's where the ignorance part is coming in. A lot of people do things that they don't even realize or they feel is not harassment. But to the party being harassed, it is harassment. And sometimes it could affect them because that woman, for instance, could start to feel insecure about her body. Maybe she's looking a certain way, but he wouldn't realize the harm is done, to her. So that's the part of the ignorance. And then when Ronke said something about, she talked about young girls sexually harassed and all that. Fine, it might not be only sexual harassment, but that also made me come to the point where to tackle the ignorance, the part of the ignorance, young people need to be aware about boundaries, what they do or what people do that could become harassment or that is harassment. Because sometimes they copy things they see people do and think it's okay. Because especially these days of social media, people do things, people just, talk to people anyhow, talk about, like one of the ladies talked about body shaming, and they think it's just, I'm just talking, it's not a big deal. So I think it's also good for harassment to be tackled from the younger people, for instance, the secondary school age or even younger, because even if families are not doing enough, the way this kind of program, what you're doing now, is good. So if young people are told that, look, don't cross the boundaries, don't say certain things to this person or to someone else or to the opposite sex, because it goes both ways. Both men are harassed, women are harassed. So that's just my contribution, and well done. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much, Susie. Really appreciate you. Thank you. The education part. I thought about that too, because if you read the young man's story, it was just innocent. But it wasn't innocent to the lady. It was harassment. So we need to keep talking about it. What's harassment? What's the form of harassment? Examples of harassment. We need to keep the conversation going, like we have been saying. And we'll put up a link. Please, if you still want to join, you can join up with the link. We need to keep the conversation going. If you're not there, if we don't talk about it, this thing will not be heard. That's the truth. You are the one who would help us keep the conversation going. Quickly, I'm going back to my guests now, my speakers. I want to say thank you for coming. So in 1 minute, let's just share your thoughts before we round off this. Aderoke, please unmute yourself. Let's just hear your thoughts quickly.
Okay, with me, I should talk about, sorry.
Just summarize. We're rounding off right now. So just summarize in 1 minute, please. Thank you.
Okay, in summary, harassment is an aggressive pressure on someone. It's something that humiliates. It's something that embarrasses people.
Could you just talk about that, your organization? What do we do? How do we get in? How do we escalate issues to them quickly?
Okay.
I think we've lost Aderoke. Would have to, when she comes back, she will tell us that. Teresa, please, can you unmute yourself? In summary, what should we do if we find ourselves being body shamed? Thank you.
Okay. What I would say is, first of all, let me talk to everybody generally.
Yes.
A friend of mine will always say, "Na fata, not kill person."
Exactly.
So, and we are not all created to be equal. Now, for me, what I did, how I was able to overcome that, because there was a whole lot of harassment, even from family, for me, because I remember one time my cousin, my cousin had a party to attend, a big party on the island, and she just told me, I would have taken you with me, but you are too big. That thing hits me bad. I was like, is it that bad? And at that point, because it was talk from everywhere, I lost my self-esteem. If you come and tell me I'm beautiful, as far as I'm concerned, you just told me I'm crazy. So it affected me a lot. But one day I decided that no, if I don't do this, nobody will do it for me. So I now decided to turn all that negativity, all that harassment, all that body shaming into something positive. Now, how did I do that? I started cracking jokes concerning my size. So when you say something about me, if you try to harass me and say, somebody once told me, say, I should occupy space. I say, yes, that's what Jesus said, occupy till I come. You know, I would always crack jokes like that. And when somebody else said, horrible. And I said, see, if they get my type for your village, therefore don't crown them queen. So I would always have something to say. So at the end of the day, you'll be tired. You can't even harass me. So with that in mind, I started trying to get other ladies to understand that, look, you need to build your self-confidence. Build your self-confidence. A lady tried to harass me one day. I told her, say, if I walk into a party with you, I mean, they go give cheer first, even if you're older than I am. You know, so it was always that. So far, that has helped me a lot. I have my confidence back. You can't harass me. No, that's the reason for the platform of Feminine Grace, Miss Plus Size Nigeria. Let's have this platform because a lot of plus size people, you find that they cannot fully express themselves because of body shaming, harassment, one way or another that they have been through. But when you give them a platform where they can express themselves, you find out that they have a whole lot to offer. So love us. We are live teddy bears. When you are cold, come, we'll hug you and you'll be fine. Thank you so much for having me in the show.
Love yourself enough without regret. That's it.
Yes, eat right, sleep right, and you'll be fine.
Thank you. Dr. Sukomi, please, in 1 minute, what you have to tell us as we close. Dr. Sukomi, thank you. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, please.
Okay, I think I have done that now. Can you hear me?
1 minute, yes, please.
Okay, so I will just start by saying that, one, thank you very much for this program. Conversations are necessary for people to understand, their role, the avenues that they have for redress, what they can do, and that's not all that we have said. And I think people have also said, get somebody outside that you can talk to, have a mentor, someone that can guide you through how to manage yourself. I was in a situation at one point where they set up a panel and I had been harassed, but they wanted to turn the conversation, and being spiritual, something just told me, when you go there, just say that, I wasn't really angry, I just didn't know what he was trying to say and all that, because, there are powers that be, so from then on, I just decided to have people I could talk to that could say, guide me and all that. So let's look for someone, let's have a friend, and then let's, if it's really bad, get your facts and evidences together. Always be aware, understand your environment, know how to comport yourself, know the avenues for redress, continue, seeking to encourage, to share knowledge and know what you can do, part time. Let's not keep quiet about it. Again, I take what I said about, what's his name, Martin Luther King. He said the whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. So this is what we're doing. Thank you very much, IT, for this opportunity. Change must continue to happen. Conversations must happen. We're getting there. Don't give up. Thank you.
Thank you. Barrister Ayodele, if you're available, please, for just a minute. 1 minute, please. Barrister Ayodele, are you there? Okay. Mrs. Odunigi, are you there? Are you there? If you're there, unmute yourself for just 1 minute. Dr. Amoye, you need to put down your hands. Thank you. Okay, unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself, Mrs. Odunigi. Please unmute yourself. 1 minute. Hello? Okay. I guess would have to. Your hands are raised. Yes. Unmute yourself. Unmute me now. Fine. Unmute yourself, please. Ms. Odunige, your hands are. Unmute yourself. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay,
please.
sorry.
1 minute. 1 minute, please. Sorry for that. Handling harassment, what should we do? 1 minute. We can hear you, please.
Okay, is that from me?
Yes, 1 minute, please.
Oh yeah, handling harassment. Okay, so like
summary,
you all have okay. Hello.
I can hear you. Go ahead. Well, listen.
Okay. I thought you told me to hold on. Okay, so handling harassment. Basically, we've said everything on this platform. Most importantly, seek help. Thank God we've dropped some links here where we could actually make our escalations to. I mean, don't let this pass by. Make sure we store this information somewhere in our phone or wallets and all of that. Secondly, always have a group you join, like you mentioned. It could be like a social group, virtual. It could be virtual. It could be physical. Now, the reason why people join social groups is not because they want to go overboard. No, a lot of people find their happy places in most of these groups. So seek social groups. And thank God these days we have a lot of virtual. I can't tell how many WhatsApp groups I belong to. As we're speaking, somebody has put me in one now. It's called the baby shower for a friend of mine. And I appreciate being in those groups because, hey, apart from family, this makes me happy too. So make sure you join social groups and make sure you're not silent about some specific things. We're in the era of speaking up. Speak up when you're under pressure. Look for someone sensible you could actually speak with. And yes, that's just it basically. Learn to balance life. Yeah.
Vice Ayodele, are you here, please? So that you just round up in 1 minute. All right, he's not here. So we've talked about, we'll put up a link that you can join the WhatsApp group so that we keep this conversation going. We'll be able to escalate issues that you bring to us. We'll be able to discuss issues that you want us to discuss. So I want to quickly appreciate everyone for coming. You make this program beautiful. I appreciate all of my speakers, Adeoke, Dr. Esther, Ayodele. Unfortunately, we lost him because of the network issues. And my background helpers, they are there. Daniel, Pastor Ayo, thank you so much. Everyone that came, I really, really appreciate it. It's a debut program, and I want to thank everyone for the turnout. It's really impressive. And we hope to do this in a few weeks. We'll talk about harassment in schools. We're saying we're going to push the conversation, pull at the conversation until we start seeing results. That's what this is all about. So it's an ongoing conversation. I want to encourage you once again, before we all sign out, let's join the WhatsApp group. You can send me a private message if you didn't get the link. And thank you once again. Until we come your way again, stay good and don't harass anyone, please. And if you can speak up when you see someone being harassed, don't fight. Don't take someone else's problem and run into issues. But if you can speak up when someone is harassed, please do speak up for the person. And if you don't have someone you can speak to when you are being harassed, remember that we are here also to help you. Wherever you work, try and have someone you can escalate issues to before you take it to HRO. It would also help you to protect your back, to guide your back through, so that you don't get to lose your job and you're on the street. So have a mentor, even within a small circle, that you can escalate issues to. It's very, very important. Be friendly, be kind to people, and sometimes also understand that people do the things that they do mostly out of ignorance. Do not ever forget that. So people just don't choose to be bad. They just don't know that, okay, I'm not supposed to do this. So if you have a way of correcting those people subtly, let's also do that. Thank you once again for coming. Officially, the meeting is over. I am so happy you all came. Have a good evening, everyone. See you again next time. My name is Ifangoro. Thank you so much.